Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Let's Talk 20s podcast. I'm here yet again with my two lovely co-hosts who are laughing at me.
Oh,
Um,
really?
You love us. You love us.
He
I do love you
admires us.
Yes.
Yeah, he does.
Before we get into this episode, depending on if this releases at its time that we originally were going to upload it, around this upload time will mark the 1 year anniversary of the podcast. May 9th is the 1 year anniversary of the first episode release. And
Yeah, is that the Egyptian?
it's been a heck of a journey. Yeah. It's been a heck of a journey. A little over 40 episodes done. All kinds of special guests and friends have been on the podcast. And it's been really, really, really cool. If nothing else, to have a bunch of wisdom compiled and listen to myself and now my two co-hosts as well, consistently giving you guys content. And it's just been a really cool journey. I appreciate all the feedback and people listening from day one, or even if you're a new listener now, I greatly appreciate it. It means the world to me. And we're going to keep it up. So for this week's topic, to get into the topic, it's going to be titled Trust in Yourself. So talking about, when we are at our lowest points, how do we trust in ourselves to get out of that bad place? How can we put greater trust in ourselves to lead to better relationships with others? Why do so many people in their 20s have a hard time with trusting themselves, and much more in this episode? So I hope you guys are going to enjoy this one for sure. I have no doubt. But
we're going to start it off hot, boys.
Let's start it off.
Let's go.
Let's go.
He just put it right into play. In our 20s, especially in our 20s, why do so many people have a hard time with having trust in themselves? Like, are there specific factors that you see or you've heard of that play a significant part or role?
I mean, it has a lot to do with a bunch of different topics we've talked about. We could talk about it has to do with the mistakes that we make in life. And so we don't trust ourselves because we feel like we're going to fuck up, basically. It could have to do with our expectations versus the reality of what's actually going on, right? So we have too high of expectations. So we don't trust ourselves because we never can reach that. Therefore, if we can't reach that place in our head, we don't trust ourselves because we don't feel capable. Could have to do with comparing ourselves, like with people in society, and they can do this, I can't do that. I tried, I couldn't do it. I can't trust myself to do anything because I'm too fucking lazy. It boils down to negative self-talk. At the end of the day, I really think all of those things have in common is negative self-talk and not being kind to yourself. And the first step to being kind to yourself is trusting that you're trying your best, you're doing the best that you can with your life, and you don't have to be so hard on yourself when you're not perfect, for example. So you can still trust in yourself even like when you make a mistake, for an example. So
holy crap, what a great answer. What a great answer.
Thank you.
The only thing I'll say as well is that, and maybe this is just my perspective, is that when you do put a lot of trust in yourself and you're very confident in yourself, it is always considered now that you're being arrogant and very self-centered. So I know for me, I and a lot of people kind of almost lower the trust they have in themselves or their standards of themselves because we've been kind of shown like, hey bro, why are you being so cocky? When was it a bad thing to try at something? When was it a bad thing to be confident in yourself? And now it's so shamed, in my opinion, it's so taboo for you to actually have full trust in yourself, full confidence in yourself, because it's always mistaken as arrogance. It's almost like everyone else's securities are so outspoken that if you feel like you have quote unquote no problems or that you feel better about yourself than other people, you can't even say that because then you're going to immediately get berated, in my opinion. And maybe that's different for you too, but I feel like that might be another contribution.
No, that makes me think of trusting your gut. Like, we were told that so many times as a kid, but like as we grow up, why don't we just stay with it? I feel like a lot of people go with their gut, with a little bit of education and good reason behind staying with your gut. I think it's a lot of fear. It's mental fear of like not being successful, not being accepted, or all that with society, which I think society puts a huge emphasis on. If you're not right, if you're not this, if you're not doing any of this, then what are you? You're not a societal norm or accepted or whatever. Sometimes we just need to go with our gut. But in the 20s, we always think that we have to have everything right. We have to succeed at everything right now. When a lot of people, you ask millionaires, billionaires, and not even all that, you ask successful people and happy people in life, they say 20s is about experimenting and trying things.
You know what you brought up, and you're right. Great answers. We both gave great answers. Seriously, I feel like we succinctly covered it. And you know what you brought up, GT? You brought up like the whole trying new things in our 20s and stuff like that with those people. So I had a quote. I try to get quotes every week if I can. And this one was really, really interesting because it relates to the topic. If you hear a voice within you say that you cannot paint, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced. And that was said by Vincent van Gogh. So what do you guys think about that quote? I was thinking of kind of like how
Love
you're
it.
trying things, right? Like your brain says you can't do it. Well, why don't you just try to do it and then just see how you feel afterwards, right? That's my interpretation, but I can get into mine afterwards. What do you guys think
Love
about
it.
that?
How do you know if you don't try? And let's say you do succeed and you silence that voice, as the quote says, the confidence and trust you have in yourself, because you can transfer that kind of process of, oh, I thought I couldn't do this, but I did achieve it. I can apply that to other areas of my life, or these other goals, these other obstacles that present themselves that I need to overcome. Why
Yep.
not? Now I have this trust in myself, this confidence to myself. It's perfectly well said, and I feel like the biggest doubter in our whole life is ourselves. Our
Yes.
biggest enemy is the person that's looking back at you in the mirror. And if you can conquer that and have trust in yourself, then you'll come to realize that a lot of other people's opinions do not matter, because you can deal with yourself. You can overcome what happens in your own head and your own thoughts, and if you can conquer that, then I think you can conquer a whole lot more than you would initially think. So that quote right there
Hits deep.
is a perfect, yeah, it's a lot deeper than, I mean, the more that you actually listen to it and really let it absorb it is a very, very deep quote, and I completely agree.
I love that so much. It makes me think of other quotes, but I'll get to the quote. But I wanted to first say, I think that's so beautiful because when in painting or within music, right? Because we all three of us love music. Freestyling, freestyle. First thing comes to your head and how you put it together, right? Music, how you write things, how you feel things out. And sometimes when you just don't think, you let your brain not wander, but just think for itself, that's when the true beauty comes in and thing. And people's own brains can do their own thing and make their own masterpiece, which is what I think Vincent
Yeah.
van Gogh's getting at. Steve Harvey says along the lines of, when you are at that moment and at that time where you don't feel like making that jump, that's when you jump. Because
Mm.
if you don't take that jump might turn into longer to where you might not be able to take it and make it and something happen. Really having that trust in yourself, and it can bring out the better you for the future.
It's a damn good quote. Like Tanner says, I mean, you're fighting against your biggest enemy, but also in taking the action and taking the initiative, you are proving that all it takes is, like GT said, a jump or a step forward and just trying to do something. And a lot of times people get into their heads a lot, which is another reason why I think people don't trust themselves. Whatever reasons why you might not trust yourself that leads you to being in your head so much, people just get scared or they just get anxious or they just feel like they can't do it because of, like GT has said, society, or it could just be internal anxiety. It could just be intrusive thoughts. Who knows what they are? The devil, whatever form the devil, like GT was saying. All this quote sums it down to is you could just be a step away at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that it takes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that it was fucking cool.
And
No
you never
wonder
know when
he's
that
such a,
step is.
yep,
So
exactly. You never
don't
know when.
hesitate
Mhm.
because you might not get that step
Yep.
again.
Yeah. Well, Oh my God, I love that a lot. That's probably going to be the best part, my favorite part of the episode. But moving forward with another question, we kind of talked about, what not trusting yourself can do or why it's important to trust in yourself. So my question I have for you guys, it's kind of two questions in one. How do you think trusting in yourself evolves for your future self? And then how can greater trust in yourself lead to better relationships with others? So what can it do for your future self and what can it do for your relationships with others moving forward?
So, like, how when you trust in yourself, how can it positively impact you in the future,
Future
basically?
you and your future relationships with people,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you said earlier this episode, Tanner. I could be thinking of a different episode, but I remember one thing that you said, Tanner, was that how you treat yourself really impacts how you're going to treat others. And in a way, you can view your future self like another person. Every
Yes.
action that you take now is going to impact that person in the future. So by making decisions that are not good for your future self, you're technically screwing over somebody else, even though it's just you. If you treat
Yeah.
yourself like shit, you're going to treat other people poorly. Well, if you don't trust in yourself and you trust in yourself poorly, how are you going to learn how to develop trust for others?
Hmm.
It's not really truly intrinsic trust at the end of the day. It's just maybe it's like situational. I'm not really sure what it would be defined as, but if you don't even trust yourself to make something of yourself in your life, if you can't trust yourself to make the right decision when you need to do something hard or you need to do something at your job, I mean, it's going to be hard to trust other people with those similar types of decisions. It's going to be even harder, to be honest with you. And then with your future you, if you need to make a big decision or you're trying to prep for a big decision in the future and you don't trust yourself, you're handicapping yourself at the end of the day. You have to trust in yourself, because what it's going to lead to is it's going to lead to more mature, nuanced, and more open relationships with yourself and with other people in your lives.
You're going to meet a lot of people. You're going to be around a lot of people. But also, if you don't have that trust within yourself, like how do you expect yourself to trust others? You can't even trust your own judgment, your own morals, your own actions. It all starts with you first, with your game of life, trusting your thoughts, your ideas, your jumps, your leaps, your crawls, stuff, whatever you want to talk about. It evolves you into your future self because it can only get better and you can build on top of having that foundation of that trust that you built into yourself earlier on and hit and attack head on.
The only thing I would like to add, because you guys kind of took some points that I was thinking of initially, is that if you do have more trust in your present self and you learn to trust yourself through thick and thin through the process of hopefully succeeding, or you trust in yourself more to push through hard times, all you're doing is setting your future self up for further success. If you're more mentally prepared and able to have more trust in yourself that you're going to get through this, or more trust in yourself that you are capable of handling this stress, or really were like the two ones that came to mind like that.
I kind of like getting personal with you guys and talking about our own struggles with this stuff. And, I think it makes us more relatable when we're talking to the audience about what we're going through. For you guys, what do you struggle with the most to trust in yourself? Has it always been like this? Has it improved in your 20s at all? What's y'all's journey's been with this kind of struggle?
Oh man, yeah, we're getting personal tonight with these podcasts.
I
Man,
can go
fuck,
first.
that is
I
a
can go
That's
deep
first.
question, bro. The more I think about
jeez.
it, that's a profound question.
The reason why I don't trust in myself, I really just think it's a lot of just what's going on in my head and the negative self talk that I have in my head. When I'm not overthinking and I don't feel anxious, I feel like I'm a pretty confident person and I feel really good in my ability. It's only when I hear a intrusive thought or some kind of negative self-doubt or something that fucks with me, because I
Hmm.
overanalyze that. I analyze where it came from, and I want to understand, because I don't want to be one of those people that doesn't delve. And I like to delve. I never can come up with an answer half the time, so I don't trust in myself because I'll make a decision about something, and then unless it's something that I've tried to get better with, but unless I feel like absolutely 100% that that's what it is, like I still have self-doubt about it sometimes. And so I don't trust myself because I don't want to make the wrong decision. I feel like I made a fuck ton of mistakes in my life. I have hurt people that I love and care about very deeply. I have betrayed people's trust, not intentionally, out of complete ignorance. And I don't want to do that again. But now I'm so hard on myself to not fuck up anything that I don't trust in myself to make the right decision a lot of time. Because I thought I had made the right decision by not thinking about something. And so I'm thinking that if I overdo it, it won't happen again. But now I don't trust myself because I overdo it. So
Yeah. Wow.
it's fucking hard. It's like a self-doubt cycle that I constantly get into. So that's me.
That's for something so profound and deep. You definitely did not stutter, bro. That was speaking true from the heart. That was
Think about
that
it a
was
lot.
amazing.
Thank you.
That was incredible for me. And I mentioned it in episodes before. Kind of. No, I have before. Is what if for me? It's the what if, and I actually just mentioned in the last episode how we only have this one life. Part of me does believe in reincarnation, actually, but like, let's say this is the one life.
Right.
It's the what if that bothers me because there's always a part of me that's like, am I doing the right thing? Am I making this right decision? What if I did this instead? And it's like this weird mental game of part of me always feels like I'm not doing enough or doing as good as I can be because what if I did this or what if I did that? And very rarely does it really, really break me down. But when it does break me down, it's bad. It puts me in a really, really, really bad spot. And so the what if thing is why sometimes I don't have full trust in myself. And I've gotten a lot better at it. And to just kind of say, you know what, like who gives a shit? It is what it is now. Like this is my life. I made this decision. I made this path for myself. But for something that has been wired or like it's almost like a little voice in my head, the what if thing, bro. It's been
Yeah.
like that for years and years and years. And I feel like that will always, always stick with me. And yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't know. But I'm completely content with my life too. So just for people not to get it twisted and think that I'm never content with life because oh, what if this happened? I could have blown. No, I'm completely content with life and what decision I make. I'm happy I do that, and what comes out of it comes out of it. But it's the what if, the possibility of something else happening that can fuck with me sometimes.
Mm,
You
mm.
know?
Two really good answers. Personally, I would say, what do I struggle with most? Why do some of these things happen to me, and why do they happen when they happen? It's hard to just trust in, what the Almighty God has in store for every single one of us, and I've gotten way better at it, and accepting that, hey, things happen for a reason. I may not know now, but I will understand later on. And it's something that it's really
Yeah.
hard to understand early on, but it's working on that day by day, really being accepting and knowing that, hey, everything happens for a reason. And guess what? Life is still going to be good because any day above ground is a good day because you can change
Yeah.
things.
Amen to that,
So,
brother.
Well said.
whereas, younger me just didn't trust in why something happened and I would take it negatively and it would bother me. It's going to pan out and not even just pan out, like everything's going to be good, like just learning the positives. There could be a negative that happens, but like there's a positive within that negative. Just being more accepting of life and the curveballs it's going to throw at you, the obstacles you're going to have to face and all the hard times and the trials and tribulations you're going to have to go through because it is life. The game of life is never going to be easy. It's always going to have its own surprises, and for everyone's life, it's going to be so different. You might not like it, but you got to understand you're still above ground when you could be long gone, not fully living life the way that you're given, that you should be living life and you can be. So
Yeah,
just keep chugging away, and I promise you the light's gonna be better on the other side.
you're right, man.
The only person, the only person you live with your whole life is yourself, and that's something that I. It's actually something that my parents told my sister and I when we were younger. It's like, minus my sister who I literally, held the day she was born and will be with until I die or whatever. Like the only person that you're stuck with from when you're born to death is yourself. And I think a big thing is if you don't have trust in yourself, if you don't have an honest but also positive relationship with yourself, it is very, very, very hard for you to have a consistently good outlook on life and to keep fighting. And not only that, to also have good relationships with others. So
Yep.
I think this topic in itself, having more trust in yourself, or how that has evolved for us over the years and what that means for our future selves, is a very important thing for people to keep in mind and have check-ins like Connor has check-ins with himself on several other topics he's discussed, openly about that and how he maybe has to have more check-ins with himself than other people. But whatever you have to do to kind of have those open conversations with yourself, I think that goes a long, long way for your mental health and your physical well being as well. Do you guys even have any closing thoughts, or are we leaving it at that?
I mean, I appreciate you saying that, like, I need more check-ins. I still struggle with trusting in myself, but I do know myself enough to where some people need less. They give
Mm-hmm.
themselves less. Some people need more, like me. I need more because of how hyperactive my brain is. I have to, I can't put it on hold as much as I would like to. I sometimes have to just like let it flow and just let my brain do its thing. But I also have things that I have to deal with that other people don't have to deal with. I have major depressive disorder, for example. Like, I not everybody has to deal with that, right? So I have to know what my own journey is. And when you trust in yourself, you cannot compare how others trust in themselves and what other people are doing with their own journey with that. You can take advice like what you guys have told me. I think I'm going to resonate with how I can use it for my journey, but I can't take what you guys did and put it to my life because it doesn't translate one to one. But it's, advice is malleable, and our paths are malleable, and whatever you're going through, it's your own journey. And like Tanner said, you only live with yourself for the rest of your life. So you have to learn to understand yourself so that you can trust yourself. So I appreciated that you said that I needed more check-ins because I do. That's just what I need, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with me. And if you need less check-ins, if you only need to check in with yourself once a month, hey, that good for you. That would be fucking great if I only had to do that.
My
So
concluding thing is you can't play life with someone else's hand of cards because you'll only disappoint yourself and have false hope and not truly when you could have the better hand and not playing the cards to the best of your ability, but you're playing with someone else's hand instead of your own.
mm-hmm. Well said.
Man, I hope people can take something from this episode because we poured our heart and souls into into this one. I know a lot of people like the vulnerability, and what's a better way to have a relatable podcast and talk about your own personal selves, because there are plenty of people out there, Connor, that need to have those daily check-ins. There's plenty of people, GT, that are wired your way, and there are people who always question their present and future, like myself, and don't have that full trust in themselves. So yeah, this was a great episode. I'm not even gonna give any closing thoughts because we've all said so many great things. I think this was a phenomenal episode, probably one of my favorites that we've ever done, actually, my
Yeah.
personal opinion. And I hope you guys who are watching and listening can agree with that. And as I previously stated, possibly around the time that this is released will be the 1 year anniversary of the podcast. So I just want to reiterate it once again. Everyone who has gone from our first episode that was only released on YouTube and had no
Yeah.
video version, to it evolving to me having two of my best friends, my ride or dies, who continue to challenge me and also are able to make more relatable content and add only more valuable stuff to this podcast. It's been a great journey, and I can't thank the two of you enough, and I can't thank everyone who watches and or listens to the podcast as well. It's been awesome. So follow the Instagram for the podcast, Let's Talk 20s podcast. And I hope you guys had a great week. Have a great rest of your week.
Talk to you
And
soon.
until the next one, guys. Peace.
Peace.